This week, I'm in the ring with Tucker Max, and it's brought to you by Harrys.com.
You ready? We're going in?
After you.
One of us might not be coming out. All right.
We are here for Spartan Up Podcast, and it is a odd, rainy day here in Pittsfield. I've got myself, I've got Dr. Johnny, I've got Sephra L, and I've got Colonel Nye. Marianne's on the camera, and we're going to hang out with Tucker Max today, who's a self-proclaimed...
Please,
young lady.
excuse my forgetting soap.
There we go, back to the shirt. I don't know if we can say that or not, but he writes extremely popular books. He's very well-read, very smart, great writer, and I had a lot of fun with him. I think you guys are going to get a kick out of this.
Yeah, and I'll say that this interview actually totally turned me around on him. I wasn't a fan going into this. Watching it, I'm a big fan, so check it out. You'll see why.
This is like an MMA conversation.
Right. No, it's a very different sort of cardio. Like it's.
For those of you who don't know, we are in they call this the octagon.
Yeah.
With Tucker Max, and we're going to be talking about food, fighting, and.
I love it. I love all three. They're my favorite subjects.
But we were talking about cardio right now,
Right.
and you're saying MMA is a different kind
This is a different type of cardio. We'll get people that come in to train who are accomplished distance runners or something, whatever. They're good at sort of cardio, but it's a very sort of different use of muscles, and they'll get blown out after a minute, 2 minutes, because you'll get tense and they get so flexed the whole time, and then they're just totally exhausted.
My two boys, I get to brag a little bit here. My two boys are one's 7, one's 9.
Right.
One was 7, one was 8. All they do is MMA type training, 2 hours a day, 7 days a week. They both ran marathons just from that training. So,
exactly.
So it works.
Yeah,
they don't run. They don't.
So the first time I ever did CrossFit, I walked in and I was like, I'd never really, I've lifted weights, but I'd never done CrossFit. And I set the whatever for the WOD was for the day. Like I won it. It was a WOD that fit what I could do really well. Like a bunch of push-ups and kettlebell shit. But the instructor was like, what the is this? You've never done CrossFit and you're winning.
But from the MMA.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Just from MMA shape. Yeah.
Sure. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's talk. This is all about success, right? Whether you're a monk, an MMA fighter, a business person, what techniques from your experience, the books you've written, your successes, can you teach us? Attributes we should hone in on, tricks, whatever it may be, that'll help make us more successful, more motivated, just better people.
Right. So I'm not a very good MMA fighter. I don't do it for money. I just train for fun. But I've actually learned an immense amount from MMA and Jiu-Jitsu. One of the first things actually that apply to business that I've applied to sort of business and art, right? One of the very first things I remember when I walked into the first MMA, the first Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class I took, my instructor told me, he said, don't get nervous, don't get afraid, you're going to get submitted, doesn't matter. There's no losing in here. In Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, in training, there's only winning and learning. The only way to lose is to not train. And I was like, oh, that's fucking great. Like
winning and learning.
Winning and learning. And at first I was like, okay, that's a cool saying, but it didn't really connect. And then you get on the mat, right? And the first time you do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's the most frustrating shit you've ever done in your life. You feel like you're sinking in quicksand because everything you do makes it worse, right? You don't know how to move, you don't know how to defend, and if you struggle, it just makes it worse. So it's like all your instincts are wrong, and you just get choked out and tapped out just over and over and over and over, right? And if you're used to tying your identity to like success, then it's crippling and crushing, right? And so at the end of the class, I was like, all right, so I guess I learned a lot today. But like I laugh about it, but it actually helped. And it's funny.
Let me stop you there 1 second. Keep that thought. We interviewed Kyle Dake. I don't know, he's a wrestler. Only wrestler in history to go up 4 weight classes and win national titles every year. Young kid, young 20s. And he said one of the big reasons he's so successful, he believes, is his mother said there's never a bad day. which is kind of what you're saying,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You're always learning. There's always something good to come out
Well,
of
it depends how you frame your experiences, right?
Right.
And you can frame them as, because everything that happens, and how we interpret it is really how it impacts us, right? Which is actually a very Buddhist sort of sensibility too, is that what you think about what happens determines sort of whether it's good or bad. And I don't know if I believe in that fully, but definitely like whenever you have any sort of conflict situation, you figure out the way to learn from it. Even if you fail, then you can turn almost everything into some way positive. It doesn't mean, oh, it's great, I'm so happy that this car wreck happened or whatever. But learning from failure is one of the most important things I've learned in business creativity. I mean, I'm a writer. The first stuff I ever wrote was dog. It was terrible. The only way I got to be a good writer is by learning from my failures and getting better and better and better, just marginally better every day. Same thing with jiu-jitsu. That's the only way. I mean, not that I'm good, but I got better than I was that first day, only from learning from those failures.
What if you're not getting the taste of those little successes? What if your writing's not getting a little better?
Right.
You're still losing every day. Well, there are some guys that'll stay in the gym and keep coming back, right? And those are amazing people.
Right.
There's a lot of people out there watching us saying, well, how am I going to keep going?
That's an excellent question. So probably step 2 of learning how to, or accepting that failure as an instructor and a teacher is making sure that you can you get incrementally better. And one of the best ways is to find someone who's done what you're trying to do and can sort of shorten the learning curve for you. Like the reason I got good at jiu-jitsu quickly, or I improved quickly, was because I had an amazing teacher. And he helped me. He understood how I learned. I'm not a kinesthetic learner, like a physical learner. I'm a very sort of rational, intellectual learner. So he walked me through everything step by step. Like every move I would do, he'd be like, that's wrong. Here's exactly why it's wrong. Here's the right thing to do, right? And I was willing to listen and learn. I didn't take sort of that as him saying, you did that wrong, was not me hearing, I'm wrong. It was just an action was wrong, and I correct the action and make it right. So I had a great mentor, and I had the right mindset to where I saw failure as a way to improve, not sort of a judgment of me as a person. And that in jiu-jitsu allowed me to improve quickly, and in writing it allowed me to improve quickly.
So a teacher is key.
A mentor, right.
Is key.
Someone who's done what you're trying to do, or at least knows how to teach you, and can help you sort of see your mistakes and figure out why they're mistakes and then how to improve them, greatly speeds up the learning curve.
What do they say? When the student is ready, the teacher will appear, right?
I don't know about that. Like, sometimes you got to go look for your teacher.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes destiny doesn't fall to you. If you just sit around, like if you sit in your house waiting, all right, I'm ready to get good at wrestling, where's my coach? Doesn't work. You got to go to the gym and find one.
We recently interviewed somebody who had a really brilliant idea, I thought, and they said volunteer. Like if you're into something, go volunteer and be a great volunteer, because you're going to meet amazing people and find that teacher.
It took me 4 or 5 MMA coaches before I found one that really clicked with me and I got. But then once I got it, it was like I improved rapidly.
Exponentially better.
Right.
Yeah.
I improved much quicker than I was under anyone else. Again, it's not like I'm good, but for me the rate of change was important. And I got to be at least a mediocre fighter in a short period of time simply because I found the right teacher who clicked with me. It's not even that the other 4 were bad. They just... I didn't get it from them.
All right, so let's recap before we take a burpee break. We'll do some burpees in the octagon. We got 1, you're never losing, you're just learning. 2 is find a mentor or a teacher, right?
Right, and then make sure that sort of the thing that connects those is you want the mentor or teacher to teach you. You want to be open to listening to the critiques to make sure that you're not. You don't look at failure as a reflection of your identity. You look at failure as a way to improve, right? So every failure is an opportunity to improve if you have a good teacher who's telling you what you're doing wrong and how to get better, right? That's the connection.
Good stuff. Let's take a break. Burpees.
I hope you're not sitting still while you listen. If you are, you better get a burpee break in.
I just got my first Harry's delivery, and I got the best shave I've had in a long time at an amazing price. Harry's.com was started by two guys passionate about creating a better shaving experience for all men. Harry's bought a razor factory in Germany that has been crafting some of the world's highest quality blades for almost a century. Shipping is free, and the blades go from their German factory straight to your door at factory direct prices. So go to Harry's.com now, and Harry's will give you $5 off if you type in my code SpartanUp with your first purchase. That's HARRYS.com. and enter coupon code SpartanUp at checkout for $5 off the starter set and start shaving smarter today.
Those burpees sucked. All right, so something you said while we were doing burpees was as human beings, we're all chasing status, and women, in the case of men, same thing apply for women?
Yeah, well, of course. Humans are looking for mates. So, women, the mates are men, the mates are women. We look for slightly different things, though. Men have to compete to get sex. Women have to compete to get sort of long-term partners. But we're still competing. Women are competing with other women, men are competing with other men to get women. Yeah, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so knowing that, right, because again, we're looking for little secrets for success. Knowing that, how can we use that to our advantage?
Well, I'll tell you a quick way. Whenever you deal with anyone in any situation, you should be asking yourself, what do they want? Right? What do they want in life overall, and what do they want out of this exchange? Because everyone wants something. And so once you understand sort of who they are in life, what they value overall, and what they want in this exchange, then you can figure out the path forward. Because if you can give them what they want, then almost certainly you're going to get what you want from them.
Right.
And that makes sort of interactions really easy, and then it makes it really easy to understand people. I get so many people coming, and you're very successful, I'm sure you get the same thing. People coming to me asking me for things and offering nothing. And it's like, yeah, dude, let me just set my life aside to help you with some shit I don't care about. Like, what is wrong with you?
Was it you? You're a famous writer. I read somewhere this analogy that basically described that, which was a woman's husband experiences a heart attack, falls on the ground near a car, and she's looking for help. She needs a doctor. Somebody runs over and opens up the guy's chest and says, I'm a really good guy. She's like, I don't give a f***. I need a f***ing doctor, right? And I don't cheat. And so, I mean, that's the point, right? She needs something right then, and there's just a disconnect with what's being supplied.
Exactly. I tell, especially young kids all the time who come to me for advice or whatever help, I'm like, offer something, right? Like we just talked about in the segment before, finding a good mentor and a teacher, not always easy, right? One of the best ways to sort of find a good mentor is to have something to offer. And it can be a multitude of things, but even simple things like, God.
No, if I owned the MMA gym we're in right now, and somebody walked in and said, hey, listen, I want to clean your windows every day and mop the floor, I'd be listening.
Give me an extra half hour of specific instruction,
right,
and I'll do these 6 things for you.
Do it in 2 seconds.
Done. Easy.
Yeah, there seems to be a disconnect because I get hundreds and hundreds of kids that need stuff but really don't want to wash the windows or mop the floor.
Or they don't even, it's not even that a lot of them, some are just entitled and unwilling, but there's another category that don't even understand they have to offer something. Right. It's like they don't realize that an exchange of value lies at the very core of human interaction, and they haven't really thought about it, and no one's taught them this. It's not that, and when I say exchange of value, I'm not saying every interaction is like a commercial, I pay you for this, but even a mentor can take a lot of value out of having someone to teach, but you need to fit a certain profile, right? For them to take sort of something out of it, and it's like it doesn't even enter into their thought process that, I need to think about this person's subjective experience, what they value, what they want in life, what they're looking for out of this exchange. Can I offer any of this? And if I can't, how can I change my life or get it so that I offer them something they want so that they're going to be
because at the end of the day, you're the one looking for something. So you need to figure that out.
When you go into a store, if they don't have anything you want, do you give them money anyway? Right. Of course not.
Right.
Same thing in human interactions. It's just indirect.
It's great that you're able to verbalize it so well because I haven't been able to in 45 years on the planet. But you're a writer.
It's my job to write these things, think about these things, and turn them into words. So I hope so.
Yeah, and so that applies to status. Talk about status a bit.
I mean, that's sort of just like one small thing that I think a lot of people can understand. But yes, status is something that most people are looking. In fact, everyone always wants to increase their status. But the thing you have to understand is that almost everyone measures status differently, at least on specific levels, right? So if I'm an MMA instructor, let's say I own this gym, then I care about status, let's say in this neighborhood. I care about status in the MMA community in this city. I care about status in the MMA community overall. I mean, like I care about the status in my family, among my group of friends. So there's like 6 different groups, let's say I care about status. But if I don't care about status in the tech community, right? Because I'm not in that community, I don't care. Whereas someone else will care quite a bit about that. So that's an easy way to understand how to offer value and understand a person is, ask yourself, what communities do they care about their status in? You know, like that's a very simple, clear way. And if you can raise someone's status in their community, you can get people to do a lot of things if they think you're going to help their status.
Yeah, you win. What's your favorite exercise? I know it's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or MMA, but specific to
like favorite way to work out.
Yeah, favorite way to work out, a specific exercise.
All right, I'll be a little bit narcissistic. I actually like bench press because I'm good at it, right? And so I can usually for height weight do a lot of weight on bench, and so like which frustrates me.
There's that status thing.
Right, exactly, exactly, right. Which frustrates me because in CrossFit you almost never do bench. It's always like deadlifts or clean and jerks or whatever, and I'm okay at that. But like whenever we do push-up stuff, I crush it, right? Yeah, and so I was joking with my instructor the other day. I'm like, I think we should call this primarily push-ups and do that like all the time. He's like, no, that's the only thing you're good at. We're going to do what you're not good at.
Sure. And then last thing, obstacle immunity is a term we use a lot. I don't know if you've heard it, where we think if we get people out doing Spartan races, they're going to experience those obstacles and hopefully get more proficient at dealing with obstacles, right? Like the ones you described earlier. Something you believe in? It makes sense to you?
Why? What's your reasoning?
Because I think people flip out and do stupid things. For instance, I'm out riding on the road, cycling, and I'm 3 inches too far into the road, and that pickup truck goes crazy, honks their horn, throws a bottle of soda at me, and I'm thinking, what is going wrong in that human being's day to cause that reaction, right? If they spent the day with barbed wire and fire and walls,
with shit that's dangerous,
like
they're not going to
turning their steering wheel
like
a quarter an inch, probably wouldn't flip them out.
Yeah, I mean that's of course, like no doubt, like facing greater obstacles makes smaller obstacles seem less big. I mean that's one of the things that MMA taught me is like it turned the volume down on almost everything else in my life in terms of like how I reacted to
being frustrated.
Exactly, it's not like I was getting in fights before, but as soon as I started MMA, it was like every interaction I had with other people was just way calmer, and I realized, it took me a while to understand, I realized it was because I was so much more confident in myself. Because what MMA does is that it tests you and you know where you stand. Whether you're the worst guy in the gym or the best, you know where you are, and so you know who you are, and you're not
somebody you're not.
Right, and you're not worrying about figuring out where you stand in relation to this guy because you know who you are.
Which probably a lot of the noise comes from.
Exactly. So, I'm confident in my sort of position because I've been tested, which is very similar, it sounds like, to what you're saying. Obstacles are obstacles. It could be on the mats. It can be out in mud.
Yeah, it's almost like a rite of passage that we don't have anymore in the cult, right? So whether it's in the MMA gym or on the Spartan course, people need that, and I think what you're saying is they need to know where they stand.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
It's very difficult in modern society to understand because we have so many different status ranges and status and groups and whatever, and knowing where you stand in the group is very difficult in most places, which is why I think hierarchy, like the strict hierarchy of military, seems rigid, and it is, but it's also comforting to the people in it because it's very defined and it's very structured. There's no ambiguity. I'm a captain, you're a colonel, that means you're in charge and that's it, right? Whereas in businesses, it can be so ambiguous and other things. And the cool thing about MMA is that There's no discussion about who's better. You just get on the mats, and then that's just it. And if you lose, it's like, all right, like no problem. Like I don't feel bad. This guy just beat me, and that's you. It's not hard to accept losing. It's if you lose. What's hard to accept, I think, for most people is the ambiguity. Humans crave certainty. Obstacles give you certainty. You either beat it or you don't.
Bonus question. This is we're out of time, but I want to do this anyway. We've all, I'm sure you've wrestled with it in business. Anybody in business has wrestled with it, especially if they built their own business. Arguments, business partner stuff, whatever. And I was recently talking to somebody who is going through some trouble. And we got into this discussion, well, in the old days, if you were living behind the palace walls, like your cousin or your brother or the guy closest to you might try to kill you to get the wife and the gold. And that's got to be a human condition that still exists somewhere inside of us. Is that what we're talking about? Was there ambiguity there?
Yeah, I mean, humans are very well evolved to navigate complex social sort of arrangements. So that's always existed, especially within tribes or groups or whatever. Because like I can cheat on my wife, she can cheat on me. I can have alliances that break down, things like that, right? That's always part of the game. Even in the strict military hierarchy, it's not absolute, right? Because nothing. What is absolute in life? Nothing.
Yeah, right.
What a hierarchy does, or what sort of status does, is that defined status is that it gives you some certainty in a world that is ultimately chaotic and without certainty, which is really kind of an illusion. But a lot of I think what we do as humans is finding and creating illusions that make life easier sort of to live with or to navigate, at least in the short term. And that's what religion is.
Yeah, right.
He's a really bright guy. And, clearly he wrote some controversial books before that I thought were kind of taking easy targets, but he seems actually like a smart, intelligent guy with some pretty good life lessons in there, too.
What jumped out at you? What'd you really like that he said?
I was going to say, I like the one about there's only winning and learning. I just think that's a phenomenal phrase. You know what I mean, basically,
how do you teach that to a young kid, right?
Yeah, and then he talked about the learning curve, and the quicker you can find a way to make that curve smaller, I guess, is the quicker you will learn. And obviously, the quicker you learn, the better you become. So it's, but it's winning and learning. So there's no losing.
There's no losing.
So I just think that's a great way to look at it. If you do the analysis and you do the work to get better from that, whatever that failure was, so.
And when you asked how do you teach that to kids, the other thing I thought that he said that was really important that we should teach to kids is the idea of figure out how you can be of value. And what he said, in any exchange, any interaction, what the person wants to know is what's in it for them. And you need to go into it from the standpoint of what can I provide to this person. It's always an exchange of energy. And he said it drives him crazy when people come up and say, I want this and this and this and this. And he says, I'm not going to do that for you. As opposed to in every single situation. And he talks about men and women, right? He says, men need to understand that women want something. I need to be able to provide something and vice versa. So, he's taking pretty base economics, but turning it into something that's actually pretty powerful.
It's so simple, right? I mean, all these kids that are out there right now interviewing for jobs, if they just understood that, what are they bringing to the table as opposed to what are they getting, right?
Yeah,
it's like the guy that's doing the interview, the guy that's being interviewed and asking about vacation time.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
Yeah, not a good tactic. Not a good. Ask about vacation. Here's what I can say. I think another thing is, speaking of like the teaching and the learning, is one thing he says is the right teachers come along when the student's ready. And in my journey, which has been a slightly bohemian one, I've really found that that's true. We keep on talking about the pebble in the pool, the concentric rings, getting up in the morning, setting your intentions. If you're putting that out there and you're walking your talk and you're living your legacy and you're finding your true north or whatever it is, and you're just on your path, as Robin says, go, then the people that you need to meet and the lessons you need to learn, if you're like open and positive and aware, they're there for you. And there's lessons to be learned from everyone. And as Joe keeps on saying, it's really important to have respect for your elders and ask your elders and people who've been on this path and who've learned so much. There's a lot to be learned from.
Well, he's got a bunch of books out there.
He does, and I like I say, I'm going to go out and read because I found him to be an engaging guy, and obviously, as we said, a very smart guy, very articulate. He maybe use some salty language, and he might be writing about some things.
Salt.
When he's talking about men compete for sex and women compete for a partner, kind of, I think is what he said.
Yeah.
Or looking for protection more, kind of thing, long term.
Yeah.
That's just, I think people know that anyway. But
he has the guts to say it.
Good guts to say it, and kind of, when you see
Vaynerchuk
that
style.
smoking hot woman with the old guy or the old rocker, it's about money, right? It's about all those kinds
Not
of
always.
things.
I'm gonna get called to me.
It's not
Yeah,
about
well, so will I,
what is
but-
it about? The rose bushes? What is it about?
Some people like companionship, and some things work for like security and protection, and it's not
Right,
always about
security-
money. And there's like,
But that's money provides the security and the protection. That's exactly
in
what I'm
certain
saying.
cases, but in the middle of Appalachia, there might be some older people with some younger women, and I don't think blessings to the mountains. I do not want to be.
And I'm gonna shamelessly pander for the female
should I be
respect.
pandering? Oh.
Maybe they're in love, Sephra.
Yeah.
Maybe they're in love.
They're
I'm
probably in
just
love.
shocked
You're
that none
right.
of you guys.
They're
probably in love.
Yeah.
God.
Well, here's what kind of beer do you think they drink in Hades? Some cayenne pepper. Anyways, if you
hot
wanna have
spice
a
Actually, if you want to
beer,
find
cocktail
out
with
what
us,
kind of beer they serve in hell,
right?
Yeah.
go to
SpartanUpPodcast.com. Look at our
and
mixology corner.
there you go.
See you soon.
No.
Thank you for listening to another epic story of success. For show notes, video, and audio of this episode, visit SpartanUpPodcast.com/064 or follow us on Twitter at SpartanUpPod. The Spartan Up Podcast is brought to you by Spartan.
To find a race near you, visit Spartan.com.